Hey, Evil Broomstick channel, I talk about movies, Star Wars, horror shit. I just made a video about Taika Waititi's new Star Wars movie and how he was talking about like making an original film that isn't fucking Skywalkered and Tatooined out. And it's made me think of while I was talking about it, I mentioned Rian Johnson's trilogy, and it made me think of all the canceled Star Wars projects that we've had in the course of the Disney Lucasfilm era. So I just wanted to talk about a few of them. Like, obviously we had the new sequel trilogy that came out, and then they're like, we're gonna make spin-off movies, and every one of them is gonna be called something a Star Wars story, which only lasted for 2 movies, and then that got completely canceled. So we had Rogue One, a Star Wars story. We had Solo, a Star Wars story. There was supposed to be a Solo 2, a Star Wars story, obviously by the way that the first Solo movie ends. There was supposed to be a Lando movie that now has been turned into a Lando TV show, which is apparently coming out. We have heard and we know of now Patty Jenkins, the director of Wonder Woman, pretty good movie, and the terrible Wonder Woman 1984 film. She was going to be making a Rogue Squadron movie, but that got canceled because of creative differences. There was the Benioff and Weiss, the showrunners of Game of Thrones, were supposed to make not 1, not 2, but 3 Star Wars movies, a Star Wars trilogy that got canceled, and they walked away from the project due to creative differences. There were also reports at one time that there was going to be a Mos Eisley centered film, spin-off film around the Mos Eisley spaceport that they were making. That got canceled. And the people who can't get fucking enough of Tatooine is Disney Star Wars. They are obsessed with Tatooine for some reason. This tiny planet in the Outer Rim, they can't get enough of it. Every TV show, everything has to be based in Tatooine. So much so that they were going to make a Mos Eisley movie. Speaking of Tatooine and shitty project ideas, the Boba Fett show that we got was originally supposed to be a movie. First directed by Josh Trank and then directed by James Mangold. Got canceled both times. What are we at now? We're at Solo, Lando, the Benioff and Weiss Star Wars trilogy, Rogue Squadron, Mos Eisley, and Boba Fett. Now do you want to add 3 more to it? The Rian Johnson trilogy that is still being made one day because Kathleen Kennedy won't admit that Rian Johnson is never going to make the Star Wars trilogy. She was so in love with Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi that she gave him an entire trilogy before The Last Jedi even came out. It was announced that Rian Johnson will be making a Star Wars trilogy before we saw the reviews and heard all the hate and backlash from The Last Jedi. And then we saw the reviews and heard all the hate and backlash from The Last Jedi, and no one really mentioned that trilogy anymore. But every few years, someone would bring it up, and they'd be like, oh yeah, of course he's still making that. Why wouldn't he? And then they mentioned it again at Celebration, and Kathleen Kennedy was like, yeah, he's just been so busy with Knives Out, but he's definitely going to make that trilogy. God, I hope not. But what are we at now? We're at Solo canceled, Lando canceled, Boba Fett canceled, Rogue Squadron canceled, Mos Eisley movie canceled, Benioff and Weiss trilogy canceled, Rian Johnson trilogy canceled. That's 11 films, and I'm sure these are just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's ones that I'm forgetting because Kathleen Kennedy, there was a point, I don't know if she was high on life or high on meth, but she was announcing a movie every other week and with a new director every other week. She was addicted to it. I do think she was a bit of an addict, and this was something that she did because she was addicted to it. Some people are addicted to drugs. Kathleen Kennedy was addicted to announcing Star Wars movies that are never going to get made. She loved to do it. It's like how Donald Trump would stay up late at night just tweeting random thoughts that popped into his head. Kathleen Kennedy would stay up late at night just tweeting directors and Star Wars ideas and just releasing it into the public, or like, you know, tweeting it to TMZ or Variety or Deadline or something so they could get the scoop like, hey, we're going to make 17 Star Wars movies with Rian Johnson, and J.J. Abrams, he's making 6 movies. Crazy person. What do you think about these movies? Etsy.com/shop/evilbroomstick. Buy yourself a horror-themed hat. Peace. Much love.